In June of 2020, Washington, D.C. was troubled with lost ballots and long lines signaling challenges for the November election. The D.C. Board of Elections has now also added the entertainment and sports arena, known as the ESA, as a super vote center in Ward 8. In the 2016 election, there were 231 million eligible voters. Over 49% of voters did not turn out to the polls. It was the worst presidential election voter turnout since President Bill Clinton in 1996. According to a study done by The Atlantic, it is estimated that 60 to 70% of the vote will be casted by mail this year. With the short amount of time left for the upcoming presidential election, Black voters are now facing numerous orchestrated efforts to discourage voting. In the past month, Twitter has banned over 20 accounts pretending to be Black Trump supporters. According to NBC News, those accounts are a device of voter depression and suppression tactics which contribute to voter disinformation. The goal is to get the audience to pose questions about the value of voting.
Why are these powerful people trying to suggest we can't trust the system, putting in place laws that are designed to suppress the vote?
But more than social media tactics are being used to discourage voters. The numerous steps to mail-in ballots, as well as absentee ballots simply not being sent out, are giving citizens one more reason to not go to the polls. There are several steps involved with mail-in voting varying from state to state. These steps have not only caused mail-in ballots to be rejected, but have discouraged young and first-time voters. Two studies done in the 2018 midterm election showed that minority voters were more likely to have their ballots rejected. In the 2016 election, there were 231 million eligible voters. Over 49% of voters did not turn out to the polls. It was the worst presidential election voter turnout since President Bill Clinton in 1996. According to a study done by The Atlantic, it is estimated that 60 to 70% of the vote will be casted by mail this year. Also, no major coronavirus outbreaks have been linked or traced to in-person voting. For NewsVision, I'm Chandler Carter. Postmaster General Louis DeJoy has removed hundreds of mail sorters across the country. This has created concerns for the public amid the upcoming presidential election. With many people scared to leave their homes because of the coronavirus, also, many D.C. residents did not even know that receiving an absentee ballot was an option for the June election. Many are hoping that come November, their vote will count.
As a concerned citizen, I would love to see more advertising in public spaces, like on metro buses, in metro stations.
But many have also complained to the D.C. Board of Elections about the lack of access to polling places in Ward 7 and Ward 8, predominantly Black and Hispanic neighborhoods.
D.C. has 8 wards. Wards 7 and 8, which are predominantly Black, are not getting a vote center, right? And they're closing a number of polling locations in those areas, whereas there are vote centers all over wards 1 through 6, right? So there is clearly not an equitable distribution of resources.
In June of 2020, Washington, D.C. was troubled with lost ballots and long lines signaling challenges for the November election. The D.C. Board of Elections has now also added the entertainment and sports arena, known as the ESA, as a super vote center in Ward 8. In a press release sent to NewsVision by the D.C. Board of Elections, there are over 95 vote centers and 32 early vote centers in Washington, D.C., but there was a need for the reallocation of resources. The equipment from the Berry Farms Vote Center in Southeast D.C. will be transferred to the ESA. For NewsVision, I'm Chandler Carter.
Hello, I'm Julia Wang.
And I'm Chandler Carter, and you are watching NewsVision, the capstone course for broadcast journalism at Howard University,
where we keep you up to date on the latest news and what's going on at Howard University and in your local community.
The U.S. has finally named a new president-elect. After 4 days of waiting on last Saturday, the race was called. Former Vice President Joe Biden and Kamala Harris officially became our new president and vice president-elect. As President-elect Joe Biden moves forward with transition plans, President Trump has refused to concede and has even stopped Biden's team from gaining access to intelligence briefings. In the weeks to come, we will see if President Trump will move forward and make room for the next administration.